Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Joining us at this point in time is a very, very special guest. We are being joined by Mr. Tom Cooper, who is a well-renowned Austrian aerial warfare analyst and historian. He's spoken a lot about the recent conflict and Operation Sindoor. Tom, thank you so much for joining all the way from Austria. First question, very important to understand from you, Tom. Who do you think had the upper hand in the conflict that just concluded with a ceasefire between India and Pakistan?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it is very nice to be with you. As regards your question, it's obvious that, well, it was a short war. Nobody wants to call it that way, but it was a war, and it had a clear winner and a clear defeated side. And the clear winner is India, and the defeated side is Pakistan. It's as simple as that. Why? Because India has disabled the Pakistani capability to retaliate. One way or the other, one can discuss the details endlessly, probably, and it is going to be certainly years before we know all the details about the backgrounds and what exactly has happened in what case, but the outcome is undisputable, which means India has defeated Pakistan, has called all of its bluffs, has de facto disarmed its nuclear deterrent. It came so far. So India is a clear-cut winner in this case.
Absolutely right. And Tom, I'm sure every Indian will be, satisfied listening to when you say that it was India who won in this short war. Well, there are also reports coming in from the other side, from Pakistan, Tom, that there is, downing of Indian jets by Pakistan. Yes. But the big thing is, Tom, no proof, no corroboration. It leads us to believe that is this a false narrative and a tactic that Pakistan is following to placate its own population, or do you think this is embarrassment and face saving?
The point is this: take the big picture. One nuclear power, India, disabling the nuclear deterrent of the another nuclear power, Pakistan. So this is such a big thing, such a big issue, such a major issue, such an affair of strategic importance, that eventually, even if India would have lost not only the 5 fighter jets Pakistan is claiming, it wouldn't matter. And it wouldn't matter, except for the families and friends of those involved, of course. But it wouldn't matter in big picture, because nuclear weaponry is the ultimate kind of weaponry in general. There is no higher method of fighting wars than nuclear weaponry. Everybody is scared of nuclear weapons, especially people who are operating them. Excuse me. So therefore, when one nuclear power disables the nuclear deterrent of another nuclear power, it's a major affair. It is an affair of strategic consequences, of consequences which are going to be felt for decades in advance. Pakistan has obviously was bluffing in regards of almost everything, with its red lines and threats. And if India does this, Pakistan is going to nuke India. And if India does that, Pakistan is going to nuke India as well, and so on. And what happens in a matter of 90 hours, 96 hours if you want to be precise, India disarms Pakistan to the level where this is unable to retaliate, even in conventional means, not to talk about nuclear means. Game over, clear-cut victory, and that's it. Now, whether this is a ceasefire or not, as far as I understand it, there is no firm ceasefire. India is not ready to negotiate with terrorists. It's as simple as that. Why does India say so? Because what Pakistan is doing is state-sponsored terrorism against India, and therefore there is no point in discussing with anybody in Islamabad what else, beyond you are disarmed. If you strike again with terrorists, we are going to hit you even harder. Period.
Tom, appreciate saying it the way it is supposed to be said, that Pakistan and the country of Pakistan is state sponsoring terrorism. Tom, do you think that with this attack, India has also sent a message to the entire world, and not just to Pakistan or China, that when it comes to military might, it's not the obvious and default choices, the Chinese and the Americans, but India too, has this image now of being extremely capable of defending itself.
This is left to be seen. Right now, the West is largely ignoring what has happened. You see, when you follow analysts in the West, other analysts in the West, they have stopped reporting about this conflict on 10th of May. As soon as it was clear India is winning, that's it. They stopped reporting about this war. So then you have the mainstream media, which is largely still trying to explain the Pakistani point of view, especially bigger TV channels. Why are they doing that? I guess they do not even know why, but that is their own problem, and so on. Then the politics is going to follow only later on. It is going to take time. And I hope India is going to take care, Indian government is going to take care to explain to the politics in the West what has it done and why. Apparently there is something like a shock in regards of, because West sees India as a Soviet-Russian armed force, and therefore it is not delighted by this defeating US and brackets China armed Pakistan. And that is then the reason for this victory being largely ignored in the West. The media are quoting Trump and his officials, who in turn are claiming all the success for themselves. Kind of, they were negotiators, they were intermediaries, and this is their achievement that the war is over without any kind of nukes being deployed. But actually, military facts are speaking for themselves. India has defeated Pakistani armed forces. Pakistan, or officially Islamabad, has sounded for ceasefire. New Delhi agreed to stop, but there is still no official ceasefire as such. There are even ongoing accidents or incidents along the border, and so on and so on. And the Indian armed forces remain at large. They are still on alert. They are carefully monitoring what is going on inside Pakistan. Particularly nuclear weapon storage sites are carefully monitored, extremely carefully. And what is more, Indian armed forces have the freedom of operation, even inside Pakistan, to monitor quite closely with help of UAVs from several kilometers what is going on at what of Pakistani military bases. So
Absolutely.
tensions are actually still high. It is not all over.
Absolutely right, Tom. Well, do you think, I feel that China has been embarrassed that it did not find any role in the ceasefire, which was started by Pakistan, and that its weapons were negated by the Indian might as well. Do you think that China has been put under the wrong limelight here?
The Chinese are a special case because the way they see things is fundamentally different than, for example, India sees things or situations around themselves, or we in the West see them. The Chinese are going to care foremost about military lessons of this affair. Their politics has de facto, well, not outright, but still given up on Pakistan already last of the year before. You could see this from China canceling the construction of this new Silky Way inside Pakistan, highway and railway. Also, Beijing last year turned down Islamabad's request for a loan of 1.4 billion or something, ending Pakistan in front, begging for another loan from IMF, and so on. So Chinese know also they have their own weaponry, which they are not exporting, which must be assessed as even more capable than what they have delivered to Pakistan. Finally, what they are going to probably find out is that there were major problems in the integration of all of this weaponry and command centers imported by Pakistan or donated by other countries. I mean, we are talking about command centers constructed in cooperation with Turkey. We're talking about US radars. We're talking about Chinese fighter jets, Chinese air-to-air missiles, but also Pakistani indigenously developed ballistic missiles. This miscellany. There was something has happened within this system It didn't work. India has exploited its weaknesses to its fullest while not shooting wildly around, randomly all over Pakistan, but targeting very precisely, very carefully selected points inside Pakistan. For example, 2 or 3 points on this air base, 1 point on that base, 2 or 3 points on that base, and so on, or entrances to underground facilities, the Musharraf complex or Sargodha complex. This is very methodical approach from the Indian top commanders, very systematic, degree by degree, disassembling the Pakistani capability to defend themselves and then disassembling their capability to retaliate. Excuse me. China is going to pay great attention about all of this and apply these experiences on its own. Of course, markets are reacting on their own fashion, politicians are reacting in their own fashion, but if we remain at military affairs, Chinese are going to pay special attention about what has happened to Pakistan.
Absolutely right. And Tom, how does this change the global concern towards nuclear warfare? Trump said that no extremist nation should have nukes, and yet they do business with Pakistan and punish Iran for having nuclear aspirations.
Well, if Trump would be serious with this, he would immediately cut off all relations with Pakistan, because it is a nation in where the establishment and the top military intelligence service, which is controlling all the work of all the other intelligence services and the anti-armed forces, and is closely intervened with jihadism, not only intervened, it is organizing it, financing it, training it, commanding it. When you have such a country and then armed with nuclear weapons and nobody can really be certain what is the security of these nuclear weapons in such a country, then if Trump would be sticking to what he says, he should cut off relations to Pakistan. He's not going to do that. Nobody else in the West is going to do that for very different reasons. Therefore, sorry, I'm not taking his statements in this regards very seriously, just like I'm not taking his statements regards his role as intermediary in negotiations between New Delhi and Islamabad. So this is the usual blah blah for the press, which we are experiencing dozens of times by Trump every day. One ear in, the other out, and that's it.
All right, Tom, one last question before we let you go. I don't want to speculate, Tom, but there are telltale signs all over social media and conventional media as well that there has been radiation that has been suspected in Pakistan. Now, that's become a global concern. Why do you think the Western media and the American media is, putting mud on something like this? This clearly tells you that nukes in Pakistan are not safe.
Well, on one side, when such reports emerge, everybody wants to have them double, triple, quadruple cross-checked before making any kind of statements. And as far as I know, this morning, the International Atomic Agency has announced that there is no radiation emerging anywhere in Pakistan. Of course, the governments are, and therefore the media are orientating on such statements, above whatever India reports or whatever Pakistan is not reporting. So this is, one has to be cautious with such statements and such reporting. The point is also that actually India did not strike directly the nuclear storage facility in Kirna Hills, but it hit the entrances into the facility, which considering that this facility is heavily fortified and it has massive thick doors, sliding doors, which is extremely hard to penetrate, and probably India didn't even try to penetrate them, which is hard to bring so far as that it would release radioactivity. So what has happened is that India attacked the entrance and probably caused earth and gravel and stones from this hill to crash down and block the entrances. This is perfectly enough, because as long as the entrances are blocked, nobody can go in, take out any kind of nuclear weaponry and bring it out, install it on aircraft or on missiles or on ballistic missiles. It's perfectly enough. So this is why also one has to be a little bit skeptical about all the reports about release of radioactivity, because it's unlikely that the facility itself, deep inside that hill, has been damaged.
Tom, appreciate you joined us. Thank you so much.